The deep silence of space wrapped around the small research ship named Aurora. Its crew expected nothing unusual, only another comm patrol near the edge of human space. But everything changed when a strange, broken signal suddenly appeared on their screen. At first, the crew thought it was static, just another meaningless radio echo from a dead satellite. But then they heard it again, a weak voice, shaking, frightened, and one word was clear: children. The moment that word reached the captain's ears, the entire ship fell silent. Distress calls from adults were common, but a message from children meant something far darker. The crew traced the signal to a small forgotten moon, a lonely rock orbiting a giant planet. The moon had no cities, no colonies, no signs of life, only dust and cold shadows, yet the signal kept coming from beneath its surface, steady and desperate like a heart begging for help. The captain ordered a landing team to prepare, knowing something terrible waited for them below. When the humans stepped onto the moon, the ground cracked softly under their boots. Their lights scanned the empty landscape until they found something chilling. Small footprints, hundreds of them, scattered across the dusty ground. Footprints shaped like the feet of children who had walked, run, or been dragged across the surface. The trail led them to a metal door half buried under rock and time. It took effort, but the team forced it open. And at once a cold, rotten smell filled the air, the smell of fear, rust, and something worse, something human. The team moved inside and froze at the sight before them. There were cages, rows and rows of cages. Too small, too tight, too cruel. Chains hung from the walls. Broken toys lay scattered like ghosts of stolen innocence. The silence inside the chamber felt heavy, as if the walls themselves carried the memory of crying children. It was no doubt now, someone had kept human children here for a long time. As the team moved deeper, the medics suddenly gasped behind one cage door. A small figure lay curled on the floor, barely breathing. A human girl, thin, pale, and shaking. When she heard footsteps, she opened her eyes slowly, like someone returning from a nightmare. The medic knelt beside her and whispered softly, "You are safe now, we are humans. We came for you." The girl lifted her trembling hand and gripped the medic's sleeve. Her voice cracked as she tried to speak, but she managed only 3 broken words, each one cutting the crew like a blade. They took thousands. The team felt the air leave their lungs. This was not a small crime or an isolated incident. This was a massive organized system of kidnapping and slavery. Hidden deep in the galaxy, human children had been disappearing for decades. And now the truth stood before them in a cold metal cage. The captain sent an emergency message to Earth. Within minutes, Earth's leaders received the footage. The cages, the chains, the broken toys, the voice of the dying girl. A heavy silence filled the human council chamber as they stared at the images in horror. Then the silence turned into rage, a controlled, focused, terrifying rage. The kind of rage only parents feel when their children are harmed. Earth sent a message to every alien empire, every government, every nation across the stars. A message cold and sharp as a blade: return every human child you have taken, or your worlds will burn. The galaxy laughed at the warning. They believed humans were weak and emotional. They believed Earth would fear war. They believed humanity would do nothing. But they made the greatest mistake in the galaxy's history, because humans protect their children with a fury older than civilization itself. And when that fury awakens, nothing in the universe can stop it. The galaxy had no idea what was coming, and soon, every star would learn the price of touching a human child. The human council chamber was silent when the recording from the moon ended. No one moved, no one breathed. The horror in the images froze them like stone. Then the silence broke when Admiral Rios stood up, his voice shaking with cold fury. "We warned them," he said. And they laughed. All around the great circular table, leaders from Earth, Mars, Luna, Titan, and the outer colonies watched the holoscreen replay the scene again. The cages, the chains, the tiny footprints on the dusty floor, the voice of the dying human girl whispering, "They took thousands." Every leader felt that sentence like a knife twisting inside their chest. The president of Earth rose slowly. Her hands clenched into fists. Her voice was low but sharp. "Whoever did this did not fear us." She turned to the entire chamber, her eyes burning with grief and fury. "They thought humans would cry and move on. They thought wrong." The holotable displayed a map of the surrounding systems, showing dozens of alien territories near the border of human space. Some were peaceful, some were hostile, and some were powerful enough to challenge Earth. But only one had a dark history of illegal trade. Hidden labs and secret markets, the Corleth Dominion. Ambassador Hale stepped forward. His face pale with anger, he pressed a button, revealing evidence gathered over the years. Old rumors, disappearances, intercepted messages. Strange cargo moving through Corleth space, all pointing to the same painful truth. "They have been stealing our children for decades," Hale said. "And we did nothing because we had no proof." "Now we have proof," the president replied, her voice firm like steel. Another leader stood, the governor of Mars, his eyes red from tears he tried to hide. "My daughter vanished 12 years ago," he said quietly. "We searched every colony, every ship, every sector." His voice broke as he looked at the cage on the holoscreen. "She was 6, he whispered, 6. The chamber filled with the soft sounds of anger, grief, and trembling breath. Humanity had suffered kidnappings for years, believing it was pirates or accidents. But now they understood the truth. This was organized, planned, calculated, and monstrous. Admiral Reyes pressed another button. And this time the holoscreen showed something different. Rows of human battleships waiting in Earth orbit, fleets from Mars, Luna, Titan, Europa, and the belt gathering like storm clouds preparing to strike. More ships warped in every minute, their engines glowing like angry stars. "Every fleet reports ready," the admiral said. "The largest military mobilization in human history. Just give the order." The president looked around the chamber. Searching for doubt, hesitation, or fear, she found none. Not a single leader asked for peace talks. Not one asked for negotiation. Not one asked for mercy. Humanity had reached its breaking point. The crime was too big, too dark, too cruel. The galaxy had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The president placed her hand on the control panel. Her voice echoed across the chamber as she spoke the words that would change the galaxy forever. "Activate the Novastar Protocol." Every leader stiffened. The Novastar Protocol was the highest level of human military action, a warning that Earth was preparing for total retaliation, something humanity had never used before, not even in its darkest wars. Alarms sounded across every human colony. Ships left dry docks, pilots ran to their fighters, and soldiers prepared for deployment. The galaxy felt the shift as human fleets powered up. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as reactors roared to life. The president turned to the admiral. "Send this message to the Corleth Dominion," she said. Her voice was cold, sharp, unforgiving. "Return every human child or prepare to lose your sons." The message shot across space, carried by beams of light. It reached every Corleth station, ship, and planet. It reached every Corleth station, ship, and planet. A simple message filled with human fury, a fury no empire had ever faced before. And while the galaxy whispered in fear, the Corleth Dominion answered with a single word: no. They thought humanity would back down. They thought humans were weak. They thought the warning meant nothing. They were wrong. terribly, completely, fatally wrong. Because now Earth's vengeance was coming and nothing in the galaxy could stop it. The Corlith Dominion expected fear. They expected hesitation. They expected humans to argue, delay, or beg. But what arrived instead was the sound of 1,000 human war engines shaking the dark of space. The first fleet to move was the Earth Vanguard, humanity's most elite strike force. Their ships rose from Earth orbit like iron spears ready to pierce the heart of a monster. Behind them, carriers from Mars launched waves of fighters that formed a shining storm across the void. Titan's dreadnoughts followed with engines glowing bright blue. Heavy enough to crush a moon if needed, the Corlith border system. Torava 6 was the first target, a world known for mining operations and hidden facilities. Human intelligence believed that many children had passed through its cold metal tunnels. That alone made it a target marked for fire. When the human fleet arrived, the Corlith defense ships scrambled in panic. They had prepared for a patrol or a small human force. They never imagined the full weight of humanity arriving at their doorstep. Not millions of tons of battleships, not carriers larger than cities, not dreadnoughts that glowed like small suns. The largest ship in the fleet, the HSS Fury of Dawn, took the lead. Its massive frame cast a long shadow over the Corlith station orbiting the planet. The station's commander tried to broadcast a warning, his voice shaking. "This is Corlith Sovereign Space, identify your..." But the message cut off when the Fury of Dawn opened its main weapons. A beam of pure white light shot across space. Silent but blinding, it sliced the station in half like paper. For a moment, everything was still, then the remains blew apart in a wave of burning metal. The Corlith fleet rushed forward in desperation. But humans were ready. Fighter wings dove in, weaving between enemy fire, moving with perfect unity. Missiles streaked through the darkness unchallenged. Cruisers fired rail cannons that cracked enemy shields like glass. The Corlith commander sent a final message. "You will doom your own species," he shouted. "You cannot win against the Dominion." But Admiral Reyes responded with a voice as cold as space itself. "You took our children," he said. "We are not here to win. We are here to end you." The battle did not last long. The Corlith ships fought with aggression, but humans fought with something far stronger. They fought with grief, with anger, with love. They fought like a species defending its own blood. And no empire in the galaxy could match that. Within minutes, enemy ships burned like dying stars. Explosions spread across the battlefield, lighting up the dark with red and gold fire. The Corlith flagship tried to escape by jumping into hyperspace, but a human destroyer rammed it before it could flee, tearing through its hull like a spear through flesh. The final Corlith cruiser drifted helplessly, engines dying, weapons gone. Human Marines boarded it in silence, moving room by room inside. They found evidence darker than anything seen on the moon, tags, documents, recordings proof that thousands of human children had been taken, sold, transported, and scattered across many Corlith worlds. The Marines carried the data back to their ships. Their faces pale and furious, no more doubts remained. The Corlith Dominion did not accidentally steal children. They built an entire industry around it, a machine of suffering powered by innocent lives. The human fleet gathered once more, preparing for the next target. The captain of the Fury of Dawn looked at the stars ahead and whispered, "This was not revenge. This was only the first strike across the galaxy." Other empires watched with shock and fear. They had seen humans angry before. But this was different. This was a storm. A storm with only one mission: bring the children home. And burn every world that dared stand in the way. The destruction of Torava 6 was only the beginning. News of the battle spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some species watched with fear, others with fascination. But the Korleff Dominion watched with rage, confusion, and disbelief. They could not understand why humans fought so fiercely, why a single discovered facility had sent an entire species into war mode, why humanity would risk everything for a few lost children, but humans knew the truth. It was never about a few, it was about every child stolen over decades. The Human Council now had the evidence captured from the Korleff cruiser: names, faces, logs, locations, routes, and slave networks. Thousands of children taken, and thousands more unaccounted for. The Council released one order to every fleet: find them all. The hunt began. Human warships fanned out across every border, every dark corner, every hidden system. Destroyers scanned abandoned moons. Cruisers searched asteroid colonies. Carriers launched drones to inspect debris fields and forgotten stations. Wherever a signal flickered, wherever a rumor whispered, humans followed one by one. Korleff strongholds fell. Human fleets struck them with precision and unrelenting force. Each battle was short, violent, and final. Because the humans weren't fighting for territory or power, they were fighting for their children in the Vesker cluster. They found a transport ship disguised as a cargo hauler. Inside were 50 human children, crying, shaking, and weak. Some were too young to speak, some too terrified to move. When human soldiers entered, every child flinched at first. But then one brave boy whispered, "You came," and a soldier answered, voice trembling, "We will always come in the rim of Fire Nebula." A Korleff lab tried to self-destruct when human ships arrived, but Marines stormed it before the countdown could finish. Inside they found medical rooms filled with experiments and machines no child should ever see. The sight pushed even the toughest humans close to breaking. Many soldiers left the building shaking with silent anger in the broken shield belt. An entire pirate group surrendered the moment they detected human signatures. They had heard the stories. They knew humans were hunting down everyone involved. Not one pirate dared resist. Not one dared lie. They gave coordinates, names, supply routes, and bases. Humans wrote it all down, then moved on without a word. As the fleet recovered more children, the medics noticed something terrifying. Some children had been sold to other species far beyond Korleff space. Some had been experimented on. Some had been moved so far that rescuing them would take months. The scale of the crime grew larger, darker, worse, and with every new discovery, the fury inside humanity grew hotter. The final piece of information came from a young girl named Lara. She was recovered from a hidden station inside a dying star system. She was weak, barely able to stand, but her mind was sharp. When the medics asked her how many more children were missing, she whispered, "They took us in groups. Small ones went first, older ones went last." Her voice trembled as she spoke the final words. "They sent the last group to the capital." The room went silent. The Korleff capital was deep inside enemy territory, heavily fortified. Defended by fleets larger than most nations on their own, no human ship had ever gone near it. Not a single foreign power had ever dared to attack it. But now humanity had no choice. The children were there. And that was all that mattered. The Human Council met again. No debates, no hesitation, no fear, only a single unanimous decision. Prepare the final fleet, every battleship. Every dreadnought, every supercarrier gathered. Their engines lit up the darkness like a new constellation. The galaxy watched in silence as the largest human armada in history turned toward Korleff space. Toward the capital, toward the heart of the monster that had stolen their children. The hunt was over. The final strike was about to begin. The human armada approached the Korleff capital like a moving storm of metal and fire. Never in galactic history had a fleet this large traveled together. Thousands of ships, engines glowing like raging stars, formed a wall across the dark. It was not an invasion fleet. It was a rescue force carrying the full anger of an entire species. The Corlith capital planet, Vakaros Prime, shimmered beneath its shield wall. Massive towers, fortified rings, orbital guns, and patrol fleets surrounded it like armor. The Dominion believed their homeworld was untouchable. They believed nothing could pierce their defenses, but they forgot one thing. They were facing humans who came for their children. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Fury of Dawn, his voice steady but burning with emotion. "All ships," he said, "begin the final assault," and with that command, the sky lit up. Human battleships opened fire first, launching bolts of white energy that crashed into the shields. Carriers unleashed fighter waves that streaked across space like birds of fire. Dreadnoughts fired rail cannons powerful enough to shake the crust of a moon. The Corlith fleet scrambled in panic, but they were already too late. Their communication channels overflowed with fear. How did they gather so many ships? Why are they doing this? They are only humans. But humans were not only anything. Not today, not after what had been done to their children. The first shield around the planet cracked like ice under a hammer. Then the second, then the third, piece by piece, layer by layer. Humanity tore down the defenses of a world that believed itself eternal. Corlith admirals screamed orders, but their fleets fell apart under the human assault. Warships exploded like burning suns. Stations broke apart, cruisers shattered in seconds. Every Corlith soldier realized the same terrible truth. They were not fighting for victory. They were fighting to survive the storm. When the last orbital gun fell silent, the Fury of Dawn descended toward the capital. Marines prepared for ground assault, knowing the children were somewhere on the surface, hidden, guarded, and used as shields by cowards who feared death but not cruelty. The landing team smashed into the capital like thunder. Streets shook, towers cracked, and the Corlith army collapsed under the unstoppable advance. Humans moved with purpose, never stopping, never slowing. Every Marine carried one mission in their heart: bring the children home, deep beneath the central fortress. They found a massive chamber, locked doors, scanners, force fields. Everything built to delay intruders, but nothing could stop a Marine with a child on the other side. The doors were blown open one by one, until finally the last barrier fell. Inside the chamber were hundreds of human children. Some crying, some silent, some terrified, some brave. When the first child saw the human armor and the human flag on the soldier's arm, he whispered one word, "Home," and the Marine knelt, tears running down his face. "Yes," he said, "we're taking